Hello and welcome to Cheating Stories. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hey everyone, I'm still struggling to process everything that's happened, and I know it's overwhelming. It's been 2 months since D-Day, and my wife and I have decided to try and repair our marriage. Here's some background. We've been married for over 10 years and have a 4-year-old child with a disability. Throughout our marriage, we've had our ups and downs. In 2016, things got hectic for both of us due to work and school, leading to a 4-month separation. I wasn't the easiest husband in the early years, but I worked on my issues and was always open to counseling, taking responsibility for my actions. The therapists held me accountable, and I was committed to improving our relationship. In early March, I discovered my wife's affair when a text message from the person she was involved with popped up on her phone. The message said, "I'll love you back," implying that my wife had told him she loved him. You can imagine how my evening went as I tried to process this with friends. I looked up the guy and found out he was a coworker of hers, someone she worked with closely. When I got home early the next morning, I prepared myself to check her phone, and unfortunately, what I found was not good. There were text messages expressing deep feelings for each other, admitting they were struggling to resist their emotions. Now, let's go back to February 2022. My wife approached me at the start of my work from home day, telling me she had something important to discuss. She then revealed she was considering divorce, which completely blindsided me. I listened as she detailed 5 non-negotiables and 15 other important points she wanted me to work on. It was hard to accept, but I tried to handle it gracefully, even though I was shocked. After that conversation, I spent the next year working on that list as if it was the most important thing in my life, because it was. So, you can imagine my shock when I discovered the affair in March 2023, with someone I didn't even know existed until then. I've since learned that my wife had already given up on our marriage when she gave me that list. She never explicitly said so, but now it's clear that was the case. She never followed up on the list, only complaining about one item I hadn't completed. It all makes sense now. The affair began the same month she started talking about wanting a divorce. She confided in her colleagues about our struggling relationship and the possibility of divorce, and unexpectedly, she found someone who supported the idea of divorce and then became involved in an affair with her. My wife mainly works from home due to COVID restrictions, so they didn't spend a lot of time together in person until July 2022 when they went on a lunch date. That seemed to be the moment my wife realized her feelings for him. They began discussing their relationships, sharing personal secrets, and by August 2022, when their company required them to be in the office 1 day a week, they became inseparable. In early February, my wife made it official and quit her job, supposedly to focus on our family, but on the same day, she confessed her love to her subordinate, and he reciprocated. For the next 5 weeks, they were deeply involved, texting, calling, and even going on at least one date. I'm not entirely sure if I caught it before it became physical, but there's a chance I did. The messages suggest it may not have become physical, but it's hard to believe given the circumstances. On D-Day, I confronted my wife with the evidence I had gathered. She initially tried to lie but eventually admitted to everything when I told her I had documented their conversations. She then shifted to blaming me, but I remained calm and suggested she go no contact with the guy until we could meet with our marriage therapist. Surprisingly, she agreed. I also insisted she end things with him by the next day, which she did, though I wish I had been there for the phone call because it turns out she continued to navigate having both me and her affair partner for the next 2 weeks. I discovered they were working on a novel together, which revolved around a woman involved in an affair with a younger man. The affair partner was 28, while my wife is 43. The story even included a character based on me, with the husband of the main character passing away. It became clear that this was her way of playing out her affair fantasies and getting rid of me through fiction. After losing it completely, I decided to do some research on the guy and found his girlfriend. I reached out to her, and she was devastated to learn about the affair. My wife was furious that I had contacted her, but she eventually reached out to the affair partner, who told her never to contact him again. This broke their connection, at least temporarily. Over the past 8 weeks, my wife has slowly started to open up, revealing the truth bit by bit, usually only when I pushed her. She admitted to developing feelings for the guy and that the emotional affair lasted for more than 8 months. Despite all this, she's now begging for reconciliation. We've made some progress in the past 2 months since D-Day, but it's still emotionally and physically devastating for me. One of the hardest things to accept is realizing that my wife's sudden increase in desire for closeness in February was because she wanted to be close to this other guy, and I was just a backup plan while she waited for him to make a move. Despite her constant denial, I have found concrete evidence that contradicts her claims that their relationship wasn't physical. She has a history of bowel obstructions and was recently hospitalized due to severe symptoms, during which it was discovered that she was pregnant. This is particularly shocking because we had never conceived naturally before, and our son was the result of fertility treatments. Amidst the difficult situation of my wife's bowel obstruction, we now face the uncertainty of this pregnancy. My family and close friends are questioning whether I am the father of the child, and honestly, I have no idea. We both identify as Christians, and she has always been against terminations. I expressed my doubts about the child's paternity to her, and now she's discussing the possibility of terminating the pregnancy with anyone who will listen. Moving forward, I've decided to take her to court, armed with damning evidence of her infidelity. I filed for divorce, and surprisingly, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. I felt liberated, free from the constant lies and deceit. Standing up for myself felt good, and I put myself first for once. My soon-to-be ex-wife is not having it easy. She's pregnant, and the man she had an affair with is refusing to accept the child. He left her, and now she's left alone to deal with the consequences of her actions. You might think I'd feel sorry for her, but I don't. I feel relief and vindication. Her infidelity has cost her everything: her family, her stability, and her reputation. I can't deny there's a part of me that feels a dark satisfaction seeing her reap what she has sown. As for the baby, it's her problem now. I don't care if the child is mine or not. I've made my decision, and I'm sticking to it. There's no room for doubts or regrets. Looking back, I don't regret my decision. I'm in a better place now, emotionally and mentally, and the best part is I have no resentment, no bitterness, just a sense of relief and closure. I'm done with the past, and I'm ready for the future. My future, and you know what? It looks pretty damn good. Second story. Some background information. I'm a 39-year-old man, and my spouse is a 36-year-old woman. We've been together for about 16 years and married for almost 14 years. We have 2 sons, ages 12 and 9. In the past, my wife and I have always gotten along well. Of course, we've had our share of arguments or disagreements, but we've never had full-blown fights and have always been able to communicate effectively. My wife works as a hairstylist, and I work as a nurse. She also worked as an educator for a well-known brand and really enjoyed her job. As for me, I've been steadily advancing in my career, and about 4 to 5 years ago, I took on a director role. At that time, I was earning a decent income, considering that my wife, who works as a hairstylist, often had to work evenings and weekends, missing out on a lot of time with our boys. That's why we made the choice for her to become a stay-at-home mom while still keeping her education role because she genuinely enjoyed it. However, when the COVID-19 pandemic arrived, her education job was no longer available. Once things started to improve a bit with COVID, I received another promotion at work, so now I'm earning a really good salary, and we're not worried about her not working. In September 2020, our oldest child was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. It was a major change in our way of life and caused a lot of stress, anxiety, and depression for both of us. As a result, we gradually drifted apart over the past few years. We completely stopped having date nights for the next 2 years because we were worried about leaving our child with others, but we're improving in that aspect now. During this time, we became emotionally distant and more like roommates than partners. Throughout all of this, I fully acknowledge that I wasn't the best husband. I neglected her emotionally and left her feeling alone, and I truly wish I could change that, but unfortunately, I can't. Although I was physically present, I wasn't there for her emotionally. Since she wasn't employed, I expected her to take care of our son's blood sugar at night because I had to wake up early for work. I also expected her to handle the household chores during the day. On the other hand, she started to resent me for not helping out with chores around the house or assisting as much during challenging moments with our son's fluctuating blood sugar levels. As a couple who used to excel at communication, we completely stopped communicating altogether. We would exchange quick high fives at the door due to our busy work schedules and the hectic sports schedules of our boys. We no longer made time for each other. During all of this, my wife started playing a video game called Fortnite with our boys. She really enjoyed it and even played when the boys weren't around. She would stay up late at night after I had gone to bed and continue playing while also keeping an eye on our son's blood sugar levels. It reached a point where she would still be playing when I woke up, returned home from work, and went to bed. Through this game, she formed an online group of friends. Over the past 6 months, this group of around 5 to 6 people would consistently play together. This is where the act of cheating began. She developed a close friendship with a particular guy. I didn't find out about this until later, but she regularly chatted with him on Instagram. She even sent him a gift through the mail. Then she came up with a massive lie to visit him. She told me that one of her old friends from her teaching days was opening a new salon and asked if she could come over for the weekend to assist with the grand opening. My wife shared this story with me, and since I had no reason to doubt or mistrust her, I completely believed her. She drove a long distance of 10 hours to spend the weekend with this guy she met online. During her absence, for some reason, I accessed our iCloud account and noticed a bunch of recently deleted photos. My heart sank when I saw them because they revealed what was happening. Throughout the trip, she essentially turned off her phone and barely communicated with me or our boys for the entire 4 days she was away. In the end, she returned home, lied about the trip, and I confronted her about what was truly going on. It took a few hours, but she eventually confessed to her actions. She strongly insists that it was only a friendship and that nothing physical occurred, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because she left and spent the weekend with another man. The trip took place approximately 6 weeks ago. After the initial shock, something unexpected happened. We actually had some wonderful conversations. We opened up about how we ended up in our current situation and how our relationship reached this point. It was truly the best conversation we've had in years. Throughout all of this, she never tried to minimize what she did. She took full responsibility for her actions, and as a result, we made the decision to give it another try. We both expressed our love for each other and agreed that divorce was not what either of us wanted. During this time, I also started seeing a therapist because otherwise, I think I would lose my sanity after everything that happened. The one thing I asked her to do was to completely block any contact with this guy. She agreed and ended up deleting Fortnite and all her social media apps. Fast forward to 2 to 3 weeks ago, while we were driving to my son's baseball game, I noticed she had Snapchat on her phone. I asked her about it, and she quickly denied it. When we arrived at the game, I saw her logging out of Snapchat, so I walked away. She later found me, apologized, and handed me her phone, begging me to look through it, but I wasn't interested anymore. We argued about it that night, and I told her to leave the house. However, we eventually calmed down, and she ended up staying. The following weekend, I decided to check out this guy's TikTok account, and guess who I found among his followers? My wife. This led to another major argument where I told her she needed to leave and that I wanted a divorce. We slept in separate beds that night, but once again, I didn't follow through and push the issue of her leaving. Now, let's jump to just a few days ago. I caught her playing Fortnite with this guy online. Later that night, I even looked at her phone and saw a message to another online friend saying, "I feel so stupid. I wish John would join so we could all play together." This sparked yet another huge fight, and this time, I declared that I was done. I packed up all my things, left, and spent the night at my brother's place. I'm back sleeping at home. We had tickets for my youngest son's first MLB game on Saturday night, and we planned to go to an amusement park today, so for the boys' sake, we did these activities together. We had another important conversation this morning. She said that for this to work, I need to control my anger outbursts, which I agree is not healthy at all, and I should stop snooping through her phone, even though she previously said she had nothing to hide and left her phone unlocked for me to check if I wanted. Today, I reached out to my therapist, who referred me to an anger management group session, which I signed up for this Wednesday night. She assured me once again that she would cut off contact with him and stop playing Fortnite because it's not worth it. She mentioned her willingness to attend marriage counseling and insisted that she doesn't want a divorce. I woke up 3 hours ago at 2 a.m. and went downstairs only to find her playing Fortnite on the couch. Although she wasn't playing with that guy, I believe she would have if he had been online too. Ironically, this morning, she explicitly stated that she would never play again, yet here we are. I'm done arguing about it. I simply wished her good night and walked away. I'll be honest. Ever since her return, I have been excessively controlling towards her for the past 6 weeks. Clearly, I've completely lost trust in her. I want to know every detail of her actions, where she's going, and who she's with. I'm uncertain about the outcome, but I have a strong sense of where we're headed. It's upsetting because I still genuinely love her, and I believe she still loves me, but I'm not sure if we're in love anymore. I'll provide updates along the way, but I'm not sure if counseling can help us at this point. We both need to be fully committed to making things work, and that includes ending all contact with that guy, which is something she should have done immediately. Unfortunately, it took me walking away and her losing me for her to finally realize that.